Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and tonight from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, it's an early start as it's part of the Hall of Fame weekend. It's the St. Louis Cardinals, the Miami Marlins on Fox Sports Midwest. A significant day in Cardinals history as the Cardinals inducted George Kissel, Ted Simmons, Curt Flood, and Bob Forsch into the Hall of Fame. We are at Ballpark Village. That's recording. I'm Dan McLaughlin. What a significant day this is in Cardinal history.
Well, it's really a celebration of this great franchise. 4 very deserving honorees today. Big crowd over here at Ballpark Village. A lot of excitement and expecting that to kind of carry over into the game day later on.
Yeah, you had a connection really to each one of these guys, even a guy like Curt Flood, who you didn't play with, but you obviously talked to his former teammates, and he made a great impact on the game.
Well, Curt Flood was a terrific representative for our union, and anybody that has had any benefits as a player owes a lot to Curt Flood. Ted Simmons, a very intelligent guy, great hitter in his own right, and a terrific front office guy as well. Bob Forsch, a mentor, and George Kissel, one of the best teachers of baseball I've ever been around.
And we have baseball here tonight as John Lackey will go for the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll take a brief timeout. Historic day here in St. Louis with the Cardinals Hall of Fame induction of George Kissel, Ted Simmons, Curt Flood, Bob Forsch. Baseball coming up on Fox Sports Midwest.
Matt Carpenter's offense. This bunt base hit put the Cardinals on the board in the 5th inning. Later on, Carpenter contributed another run, long home run to center field. It was home run number 18 for Carpenter on the way to a 3-1 victory. And that victory belonged to Jaime Garcia, who was terrific. 8+ innings, 6 strikeouts, and he picked up win number 5. Tonight it'll be John Lackey, the veteran. Lackey looking for his 10th victory of the season. Cardinals and Marlins coming up next on Fox Sports Midwest.
Lackey sensational here at home, and away we go. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealers for great prices on our all-new 2015 vehicles today. Beautiful night for baseball. We had a great crowd over at Ballpark Village for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Terrific class going in today. Ted Simmons, Bob Force, George Kissel, Kurt Flood. What a great crowd we had. What a great day we've had so far. As Dee Gordon looks on, studying John Lackey. He'll lead it off, followed by Ichiro Suzuki, then Martin Prado. Bohr, Ozuna just called back up. Gillespie, Realmuto, Echeverria, and Hand, the pitcher, batting ninth. On the bench for Dan Jennings' club, Telise, a switch hitter. Dietrich hits from the left side. Rojas, Mathis, McGee from the right side. John Lackey getting the call tonight. Start number 24 is team high and team leading start number 24.
Part of a very solid rotation, and he's had very few bad outings. You think about the game in Colorado, and Cardinal fans who remember that day know that that was a tough night for Lackey. But boy, you just can't think of another game that John Lackey has not kept his team in it. And even if he has a big inning, he's found a way to get deep into the game and get the quality start.
What does he feature? A lot of first pitch strikes and also the four-seamer, sinker, curve, change.
And I think the slider, to me, that's the most important pitch. We call it a curve or a slider, but that's the pitch he's going to try to put you away with. I would call it a big breaking slider or a short breaking curve. You can call it whatever you want.
How about your Toyota keys to the game?
Well, the first key you just mentioned, the strike ones of John Lackey. I believe he pitches way better when he's ahead in the count. But then again, who doesn't? That's key number one. So it's strike one for John Lackey. And the second key is the home road splits. The Cardinals are terrific at home. Miami is really struggling on the road. Just keep that going.
Here is D. Gordon hitting .329 in the top 5 of the National League in the batting race. First pitch, we'll say this a bunch, a strike from John Lackey. Knowing that, you wonder if teams are more aggressive early in counts.
They've watched any film on John Lackey, they have, because they know that he expands the zone once he gets ahead. Then again, he'll bounce the curveball or get you to try to chase or even elevate the fastball. And he's just a smart pitcher. Been around. You don't win all the games he's won in his career without being smart.
Here's an 0-2. Gordon with a little fly ball into shallow right. Hayward battling the sun. Remember the other night, the start by Lance Lynn, the early start. Ball dropped in front of him as he missed it in the sun. This one he's able to pick up. Dobbs Tire Auto Center's defense for the Cardinals tonight. Piscotty in left. Grichuk in center. Hayward battling that sun in right field. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong and Reynolds along the infield. Molina behind the plate.
Hard to believe it's been 10 years that the Cardinals have been in this stadium, but that was one of the things when the stadium first opened up that we heard from players quite a bit, Dan, was if it was a 3 o'clock start or an early start for a night game, 6 o'clock, you had issues with that sun in right field that made it very, very difficult to defend.
Hayward over to get it. We'll see his arm here, and it will hold Ichiro to a single. I think the most vocal of the players about that, in my mind, it was Lance Berkman.
Agreed.
They're going to throw that baseball out as Ichiro has just moved ahead of Ty Cobb for professional hits all time in baseball history. So the bat is gone, the ball is gone, and the ovation here in St. Louis.
Nice moment. Now pick him off.
Here's Martin Prado.
That a little heartless, Dan?
Not at all. That's the game. .4,192 combined hits in Japan and Major League Baseball. If he plays another year, stays injury free, at an advanced age in baseball terms, he gets to 3,000 hits, and what an unbelievable career it's already been for Ichiro Suzuki. 1 ball, 1 strike. Up the middle, just past Lackey and into center field. Back-to-back hits, 2 runners on for Miami.
Martin Prado has always been a professional hitter. He's not having the best of seasons, but he takes this one back up the box and just that close to the glove of John Lackey. If he catches that, much better result. By the way, I have as many fans, and we've heard from a lot of fans about the professional hits title for Ichiro. I know there's an issue with that.
Justin Bohr slowly hit to the right side. Is he out? Yes, this will be a double play. They'll say that Prado runs out of the baseline. So it turns into a double play, 4-3 turned by the Cardinals. Some history here tonight. We'll talk about your professional hits in the combination of Japan and Major League Baseball when we come back. But history here in St. Louis. Davis inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations to both of you, as Prado is still frustrated about being called out going out of the baseline here in the tag by Wong.
Yeah, the induction has nothing to do with this particular call here, we should point out, but he says that he went out of the baseline. I think that's a pretty good call. He went at least, the deal is, you say what, 3 feet, and it's, you know, it's hard to say, is that 3 feet, is that 2.5, I don't know, but I think a right call in my mind, but certainly a subjective one, and it went the Cardinals' way.
Yeah, the folks at the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame did a great job with the ceremony here in St. Louis. So again, congratulations to you and Jerry Davis.
Thank you, Dan. And I must say, Jerry was extraordinarily funny. He did such a terrific job with his acceptance speech. It was really, really a nice night.
Brad Hand getting the start for the Miami Marlins. Here's Matt Carpenter at a bunt RBI base hit last night. Also a solo home run. Go back to Ichiro, because a lot of people have been asking both of us about, wait a minute, what's this professional hit stuff?
Yeah, and I think there is a bit of an argument that is right. I think people certainly are saying that, wait a minute, that's not the same as getting hits in Major League Baseball, and Ty Cobb played here, you know, throughout his career, and that should count for something, and it certainly does. But I think it's just interesting to point out that he had a career in Japan, and that is the professional league in Japan, and he was a standout player there and came over and has duplicated that. And so it's just a number. It doesn't mean it's indicative of Hall of Fame or anything else beyond that, although he's certainly in that conversation anyway. But I do agree with the quibble about it being a professional hit, because if you're a minor league player, that's a professional hit. You get a hit in winter ball, that's a professional hit. I think it's the wrong name.
3-1 pitch. 3-2. Think about Ichiro, a guy that could spray it everywhere. Left field, center field, to right field. He's done that here in this series. 3-2 pitch, and Carpenter strikes out. The hit that tied Ty Cobb last night. Typical Ichiro.
Breaking pitch away, and you see how he clears out, drops the bat head, goes the other way. That is the classic style of Ichiro. And this hit, he bails again, and it's not a normal bail. That's not really the right word, but his body clears and then drops the bat head and drives that one into right field.
Randall Grichuk in center field tonight. 285, 14 homers. He's driven in 43. Had a double last night. Charlie Morton going for Pittsburgh this evening at New York, and Jonathan Neese. Aramis Ramirez, a 2-run homer in the first, and it's 2-0. Cubs are at the White Sox. Jake Arrieta 13-6 against Jose Quintana. No score early on. In the air, left field. How far? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Launched off the bat of Grichuk. Home run number 15. 1-0 St. Louis. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think Cardinal fans were wowed by our Hall of Fame presentation before the game, and here's another wow. A bomb. This one, Big Macland distance, but to the right onto the concourse. That was a blast.
How
Gotta
high
be
he hit it.
450.
He hit it as high as he did as long.
Majestic. I'm sure there are players in the Marlins dugout saying, boy, that looked a lot like what Stanton does all the time.
Yeah. "15 homers. He's now driven in 44.
As we learned, he's the second strongest Cardinal player this week.
Just staying away from that conversation gets me in trouble. The 2-2. Hanging breaking ball and a single into center field off the bat of Peralta. The Cardinals lineup tonight: Carpenter, Grichuk, Peralta. Now Hayward batting cleanup. Then Molina, Piscotty, Wong, Reynolds, and Lackey. On the bench for Mike Matheny's club. From the left side, Brandon Moss. From the right side, Borges, Cosma, and Cruz. Jason Hayward hitting .286, 9 homers. He's driven in 40. I still am in awe of the home run. We've seen a few, just a few, go that deep. But I don't recall anyone being that high and deep combined. My goodness.
When you think of high, long home runs, what name comes to mind?
McGuire.
I'm not saying they're the same kind of hitter, but I think McGuire too. You think of Holiday's shots, they're typical line drives.
The 1-1. The 2-1 pitch to Jason Hayward.
There's a look at Brad Hand. The Marlins are trying to figure out whether he is a starter or a reliever. He actually works out of the stretch as a starter because he's been in the pen so long, but he was a minor league starter. Not quite sure what his best usage is.
Here's a 2-2. Tap foul.
Really good his last time out against Atlanta. I mean, really good. So, on any given night, you're a major league starter. It could be your night, but not a good start so far. A couple of hard hit balls back to back here in the first inning off a Hand.
Measured at 444 feet, the home run for Randal Grichuk. Up and in. Brian Bartow works in the media relations department of the Cardinals, and he would like, along with all of us at the Cardinals, to wish Ken McNeil a 77th happy birthday. So happy birthday to Ken McNeil. Three balls, 2 strikes. The next to Hayward. Delayed steal and a throw down to second and out as Peralta is caught stealing. Randal Grichuk, home run number 15. Enjoy the majestic shot as we head to break. One swing, 1-0. Jerry Davis has been busy tonight.
Yes, 1-0 Cardinals, and one of the things they teach you in umpiring school, and if you're going to be a Missouri State Hall of Famer, you have to be limber. There's Davis doing a little back bend, but see how he recovered there to make the call? I love it.
There's a base hit into right. Marcell Ozuna, you mentioned it last night, Rick, before game one. The fact is, Ozuna was a power hitter, center fielder, can run, good arm, and yet was spending time in the minor leagues.
23 home runs, 85 RBIs a year ago, so they had high hopes for him. He turned down a multi-year contract, and there was some kind of bitterness about that, and he and his agent wanted more dollars, and so he turned it down, came to spring training, just didn't play well. Didn't play well at the start of the season. The Marlins sent him down, and it really has hurt him personally on the financial side. He had 300 down in AAA, but they kind of kept him there until he was kind of ready to be a force again. He had a terrific season a year ago, but probably got too preoccupied with the contract negotiation, and young players often have that problem.
There's Cole Gillespie. Cardinals turn to double play to end the top of the first, and that's a base hit into right. Ozuna to second base. Hayward comes up firing to third. Not in time, but shows off the arm. Now think about what you just said. He turns down the contract, and now you would have to figure that Dan Jennings was involved in some of those negotiations and his team.
No
and
question.
Now the general manager is his field manager. That cannot be comfortable.
No, it can't be. And, you know, long term, it's not the right solution. Does a nice job of going first to third there, but you're trying to separate contract and playing, but how, when you've got the ex and perhaps future general manager as your manager, how do you do that?
And a balk has just been called by Tony Randazzo. And no argument there from John Lackey as the run does score, and Gillespie advances to second. So Ozuna scores on a balk by Lackey. Little flare into right center. Catch made by Randall Grichuk. Did you see what happened here?
I did not see what he did, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. There's Lackey. He's not come set yet, and he does a little flinch.
Yep.
And it's amazing to think that that little flinch is perceived as the start of a windup. So if you flinch and don't continue, it's that you've started to wind up and stopped, which is a balk. Boy, that wasn't a lot of movement, but I think the right call.
Adeiny Echeverria. Mentioned last night, also in the series in Miami. They are very active, athletic, up the middle. Echeverria and D. Gordon. And Gordon put on a show last night.
Well, they both did. Echeverria made a play down the left field line and also made a play up the middle that turned into a nice play by him and Gordon. Didn't make an off-balance throw. I mean, they're just players, both of them.
Here's an 0-2 pitch.
It's interesting. You look at this team. They're 46 and 69, 23 games under 500, but they have a lot of pieces they like. Up the middle with Echeverria and Gordon, they wouldn't trade them for anybody. They like their young catcher. Of course, you like Stanton. Ozuna, good player. Yelich, who's hurt. Gold Glover a year ago, so they've got some pieces to work with. There's just some spaces after that.
Two and two the count. Pitcher on deck. The pitch is in the dirt, and Molina and the Cardinals catch a break. He blocked it, then it hit Echeverria and stayed in front.
Here's what you're talking about. It's in the dirt. Now it hits off the leg of either Echeverria or the umpire, maybe both of them, and didn't get far away from Molina, who pounced on it.
3-2. Waves at it, strikes out. First strikeout for John Lackey tonight.
walk is certainly unfortunate here. You think about a shallow fly ball to center field, a strikeout. Maybe that run would have been saved.
Here's Brad Hand. Rick, I know you were very close to Bob Forsch, and you would have been, and I know you are anyway, but you would have been very proud to see his daughters and the way that they delivered the speech on his behalf and the family's behalf. It was very touching.
I was so pleased to hear you say that. Amy and Kristen, known them their whole life, really, and as you said, how good they did at kind of expressing
so emotional
their
for
dad's
him.
heart in an emotional way, and talked about how his love for the fantasy camp too, which is kind of a great thing for those of us who love Bob and played with him and competed with him. And I'm not surprised that Amy did a great job with it, and it's nice to see the family here at the ballpark.
One ball, 2 strikes.
I have memories of pitching year after year in the father-kid game before I had kids, and I remember Amy, Kristen, Nico Smith as young kids. Just such a fun day, fun event. Seems like yesterday in some way.
New Hall of Fame plaques. There they are. Kissel, Simmons, Flood, Forsch. Congratulations to those Cardinal Hall of Famers. Carlos Martinez, is he stacking the cups tonight? Jim Hayes, what's the deal with this cupgate?
I launched a massive investigation per Ricky's request, complete with extensive interviews today. I got a team of forensic experts to comb the dugout looking for information. All we can say at this point in the investigation, Dan, is that Tony Cruz is a person of interest. Now, Michael Wacha was a suspect in the investigation. He believes Cruz did it. Poor Carlos Martinez, who had his cup stack knocked over, believes Cruz did it. Confronted with that allegation, Cruz maintains his innocence. He told me he didn't know anything about it. Dan, obviously, the investigation will continue.
Now, the question I have, though, what do the cups stand for? Is it for every out? Is it for every batter he faces? Ground ball out? What do we have there? Do we know?
I asked Carlos about it, and it could be one of those things. Quite honestly, Dan, I wasn't able to nail that down.
Well, apparently it wasn't extensive enough. But still, great job, Jimmy, as
Thank
always.
you, Danny.
Not
Great
the
job.
easiest question to ask in your second language or answer in your second language. Why are you stacking cups during a major league game? But I think we have to remember that you're innocent until proven guilty. So I'm going to represent Tony Cruz here and say, you know, there's a lot of allegations out there for my client, but I think we have to be careful about these reckless comments about a man that at this point is innocent.
I can't add anything to that. You've nailed it. You have absolutely nailed it.
Watched a lot of Perry Mason on
the last
road trip.
Wow. Welcome to Law and Order. Brad Hand, the Hyundai pitch arsenal for the left-hander.
Sinker, four-seamer, curve, changeup, and slider, so he's really just going to mix pitches. Doesn't have a explosive fastball, low 90s. Again, trying to figure out where his best use is. Starter, reliever. They've had some injuries across the board, but particularly in their starting rotation. Think about not having Jose Fernandez. That's a big miss. Traded away both Latos and Herron.
As a baseball fan, I say this all the time with any of the great players in the league, and if they come through St. Louis, I really want to see them. But if I'm a Cardinal hitter, I'm okay that he's not going to pitch here in St. Louis.
Understood. Yeah, I don't know if it's the fan part or the competitor part, but I definitely relate to the wanting to see their best and wanting to beat their best.
One-two pitch. This is in.
Scotty's still looking for home run number 1 as a Cardinal, but I say that, but I don't think he's looking for that. I think he's just looking to hit line drives, and he'll get it when he gets it. I don't think he considers himself a home run hitter, really. Still be nice to get one, though.
Here's a 2-2. That's a fair ball inside that third base line. That's something he can do, is hit a lot of doubles. What about go for 3? Why not? On his way to third. In there safely with a triple.
Ball was in the left field corner a long time, and Stephen Piscotty gets a good jump out of the box, and he's running fast in step 2, and he's thinking 2, and now the add-on never stops rounding second. Hard slide into third. Here's the trouble: the bounce, the carom, the fumble.
Assuming it's a double and an error. We'll see. Long dropping down a bunt. We saw this last night.
Well, and this is the drag bunt variety too that, Dan, I've been talking about as it relates to the shifting defenses. When the second baseman's playing deep, you get a bunt to the second baseman and you can run a little bit, you'll beat it out. We saw Carpenter do it last night down the third base line.
It's now been ruled a double and an E7 on the play. So an error on the left fielder, Cole Gillespie, who was in center last night. Yeah, you've been on this all week about shifting and where second basemen are playing.
I think what Carpenter did last night's a clear example of, okay, pitching is king right now, and the defensive shifts have maybe helped make that happen. So how, as hitters and strategists on the offensive side, how do we adjust to that and take the advantage back? And I think bunting, as Carpenter did last night, is the kind of step in that direction.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Grichuk, by the way, has tied Todd Zeile and Rip Rapolsky back in 1953. Zeile 1990 with 15 home runs in their rookie season with St. Louis. The Cardinals record, by the way, Albert Pujols, a mere 37. Breaking ball hit sharply to first. And scoring on the play. Off with contact with Scotty. 2-1 St. Louis. Take a look at the defense behind hand here tonight. Gillespie in left, Ozuna in center, Ichiro is in right. Prado, Echeverria, Gordon, and Moore along the infield. Real Muto is behind the plate. Dobbs, Tire, and Auto centers.
They have a very good defense, but the error in left perhaps makes this an unearned run, depending upon what happens here with Mark Reynolds with 2 outs.
But I like the base running on.
Sure do. Piscotty there.
Stephen Piscotty, not only getting to third in the first place, but the good jump on contact from third.
That's what I really noticed.
Ball was hit hard.
Yeah. Here's an 0-1. Little tapper up the third base line and tapped foul. So the rookies making an impression and an impact here in 2015. Piscotty and Grichuk. Grichuk at this point has got to start getting more national attention for Rookie of the Year. And again, as you mentioned the other night, there's still time, plenty of time.
That's right. Well, you keep doing it. You keep hitting the ball 444 feet. People will notice.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. Reynolds lines it into right center. That ball is down all the way to the wall. And Mark Reynolds trotting into second base with a double.
Probably nobody cares but the pitcher Hand, but he just behaved himself into that being an earned run now by giving up a 2-out hit to Mark Reynolds. Again, not an important point except for the pitcher, but Reynolds had loved the way he went the other way, hit the right center field gap. He had a good at-bat here last night. In fact, a couple of good at-bats and a key at-bat in the 7th inning when he drove in the Cardinals' second run.
Lackey, a broken bat, single into right. Here comes Reynolds. No throw by Ichiro. John Lackey makes it 3-1 St. Louis.
Carlos Martinez communicates his support of this at-bat by John Lackey. Flares it the other way. The pitchers love this. Trying to get his attention. Hey, John, look at us.
And this inning has been extended now to Carpenter. He'll play behind Lackey, and Carpenter hits a ground ball to first. Bohr flips to Hand. St. Louis picks up 2. Wong an RBI. John Lackey an RBI. His second this year. A 2-run lead after 2.
Scored on a John Lackey base hit to lengthen the Cardinals' early lead to 3-1, and he also got a little help from the third base coach. I don't know if you get an extra run for this, but Oquendo Well, he's going to go ahead and run along with him. He waves him home, and then he follows him. I think Jose may be trying to score that 4th run there in the bottom of the 2nd. Very aggressive base running in that inning for St. Louis.
6 is a serious number at On the Run. When the Cardinals score 6, any size drink just 50 cents the next day. That's coffee found in frozen drinks. When they score, you pour at your nearest On the Run. You earned it.
There's Cheo. In such great shape, back running again. He was just showing off last inning, wasn't he? Always teaching. You know, we've been talking about George Kissel a lot the last few days. Part of that induction class, St. Louis Baseball Hall of Fame, and one of those guys that George Kissel taught how to coach was Jose Oquendo. Jose tells the story of one of the first years he was coaching. George came over to him and kind of got on him and said, what are you doing? Why are you helping that shortstop? He said, well, he needs to get better at this. He said, no, why are you helping that shortstop? He goes, well, he's got this problem with his footwork. And George said, are you sure he's ready to listen to you? Have you watched him enough? Has he come to you? Has he shown interest in what you have to say? And Jose said he's never forgotten that moment, his first year as a coach, to learn it's not just what you know or how to say what you know, but it's also when.
The word that I hear with George Kissel, simplicity. That they say he was able to break down a complicated game and make it simple. 2-2 on D. Gordon.
He always did it with analogies too. You know, if you're a pitcher, he'd talk about leading the shortstop at the second base, and he'd say, look, when you're duck hunting, you never shoot a duck in the tail. You'll never get any ducks. You gotta aim ahead of the duck if you really want to get some ducks. And so you never were quite sure whether to laugh at what he said or be scared of him, because he had certainly this aura about him. Everybody knew how smart and how great a coach George Kissel was, so you just kind of smiled on the inside.
2-2. Gordon slaps it foul. John Mabry has told me that the reason he is coaching is because of George Kissel. John Mabry played the outfield, first base, and learned third base, which extended his career. We got back into back into uniform as Reynolds makes the play and became a coach with the Cardinals. He said the reason was George Kissel told me I need to get back to the game.
There's George, the great career, 22 years as a manager, scout, and instructor, and he was just a true Cardinal. Third base coach under Red Sheendies at the big league level, but some of the guys that he taught how to manage, he told me he went to Sparky Anderson's home to convince him he could be a manager, because Sparky didn't think he could, and he said, yes, you can. And he actually talked him into becoming a manager. Think about where that career ended up.
Liner and off the glove of Reynolds, and Ichiro is aboard.
Should have been handled by Reynolds. Ball hits him really squarely in the middle of the glove. He did have to jump for it, but I think he was surprised that didn't stick. Let's see how they rule that. Dan, that's a base hit. You'll be okay.
Well, I'm going to leave it blank.
Hey, Ty Cobb probably got some hits he didn't deserve also.
Look, this is a hard game. I get it. That's not a base hit.
Just the messenger this time.
I understand.
But I can take it. You can yell at me. That's good. George Kissel, another thing he used to say, by the way, was he always wanted to know who you were hanging out with. And he'd say to all of us, walk up to a couple guys sitting there, and he'd say, you know, you never see a duck and a goose. They're either two ducks or two geese. So both of you are one or the other. If I see you hanging with the other guy, I'm going to assume you're like that other guy, is what his message was. And so every minor league player in the last 40 years knows the expression, you never see a duck and a goose. Everybody.
You had a lot of guys clinging to you then.
Well,
because they knew you were a good guy.
Well, but of course, as the, I don't know if the good one's the duck or the goose, but so I did a lot of running away from some of those other ones.
Here's an 0-2 pitch to Martin Prado. And a fly ball that's foul. Very emotional. Different times today during the ceremony. Whether it be Ted Simmons, Mike Shannon talking about George Kissel, Bob Forsh's daughters.
Well, Mike came over here and congratulated you, Dan, on the job you did of leading this event, and you have done a great job of it. It's terrific what you do, and you have a perfect way of kind of bringing out some of the stories and some of the emotion and just kind of leading it. And Mike was very kind of emotional, just as you say. And you think about the great Cardinal Hall of Famers that were still around. It's nice to occasionally pause and kind of look big picture. And we're focused on the game, and the Cardinals are 74-41. But on another snapshot, things are a lot bigger than that.
Base hit into right. It's such an honor and a privilege to work for this organization, then to be a part of events like that. And we are so fortunate that we have the Hall of Famers and so many of them still with us, which makes it even more special.
Sure does. Middle of the plate from John Lackey there. That's 6 hits in the early going. Bit of a surprise.
We hope to visit with Ted Simmons, by the way, in the booth in the 4th inning. And it brings in Justin Bour, who has 10 home runs, hitting .249 with 33 driven in. Cardinals have turned to double play tonight. But at one point, I was just looking back, and Ted Simmons is giving his speech, and I'm looking at Ozzie Smith, Willie McGee, Jim Edmonds, Mike Shannon, Bob Gibson, Red Schoendienst, Lou Brock. I'm thinking this just doesn't happen anywhere else. Few places have it like this, but it's few and far between. No disrespect to the Miami Marlins, but teams like that, they just don't have this. And this is something that is unique and special.
Hard to duplicate without the years of ownership commitment to this organization, the fans and the town's commitment to the St. Louis Cardinals. It's been just a great relationship, and there's going to be down years, and there'll be down years to come at some point, although with what we've seen lately, it's almost hard to imagine it.
Right. And a swing and a miss by Bour. But think about that. You've got one of the greatest right-handers that ever walked the planet, Bob Gibson, arguably the best defensive shortstop that ever played the game. Lou Brock is an all-century player. I mean, you're sitting there looking at this going, this is incredible. If you love this game like we do, to have these kind of names and players, and they all want to be a part of it and come back. There's Lou Brock, and Bruce Sutter was back, who closed out the '82 World Series in a famous moment with his strikeout of Gorman Thomas. I mean, you sit there and see that, and you say, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It's just a special place to be if you're a baseball fan.
Well, I think Cardinal fans, and even in our position as broadcasters, occasionally we're accused of being, overly, I guess, complimentary of the whole Cardinal franchise. But how could you not be? I mean, it's not marketing. It's a fact that the Cardinals do things right, including the pregame ceremony, even on the field here. Very meaningful. "26 players are now in the Cardinals Hall of Fame."
Very touching. Ted Simmons reaching out in his speech to Whitey Herzog. A lot was made of that relationship between the two over the years. He thanked Whitey for everything he did for him. The 2-1. Good pitch. 2-2. Ozuna singled to right first time up. Brian Finch and his team deserve a ton of credit. They run the Hall of Fame in the museum. And there's a strikeout and a pitch up and in. So back-to-back strikeouts. Here in the top of the third, the AT&T U-verse rewind as we head to a timeout. Randall Grichuk in this long home run. Cardinals lead it 3-1 midway through 3. Got our special, the 2015 Cardinals Hall of Fame. Forsch, Simmons, Flood, and Kissel enter the Cardinals Hall of Fame. That'll premiere Monday at 5:30. Brought to you by Chevrolet. Randall Grichuk with a solo home run. First time up. Bounces it to short. Echeverria. One pitch, one out.
Dan Darlene Horner is here at the game, and of course you remember Joe Horner and how good a reliever he was for the Cardinals, and we miss Joe, and one of the best left-handed relievers the Cardinals have ever had. Darlene has a group here of 55 family members from Iowa, so the Horner and Bradley family are both here, and always good to have the Cardinal connection continuing. Saw Barbara Ricketts here before the game, a dear friend, and just love to have him here at the ballpark.
Echeverria, wow, what a play. Been singing his praises the last couple of nights along with D. Gordon, and he did not disappoint on that hard hit ball off the bat of Peralta.
Well, whoever's manning the out of zone sabermetric stat, get on this one. Ball hit in the hole between third and short. He bounces up and also has a good arm to go along with it. That's what I love about a good shortstop. It does not take much time to get from being in the prone position, diving and catching a ball that's hit hard, and then within a split second they're up and throwing to first.
There's an art to that, isn't there?
Oh my. Body awareness, agility.
0-1 pitch. Now 0-2. Hayward struck out his first time up.
It was actually a rating, specific number that I had to rate all of the players that I saw in the South Atlantic League when I was coaching with the Indians. there was a kind of proprietary piece of information in the Indians organization of body awareness. And you give them a 1, you give them a 2, 3, 4, and it was all about, do they make athletic movements? Do they understand what their body's doing in space? And they just felt that guys with body awareness would be much more teachable, and they would be much better at adapting to a different situation.
2-2. I wonder what George Kissa would say about sabermetrics these days, because he was so open-minded about anything with the game. I remember talking with him when he was on the staff of Tony La Russa's club, and so open-minded. Hit the other way. Into the corner, and a foul ball.
I would think he would use the sabermetric stats to prove the points that he already knew.
I agree. And I think, you know, when you look at George, and the reason they had such longevity is that he adapted with the times and with the players and with the changes.
George used to walk up and down the dugout in minor league A-ball. He'd walk up and down the dugout. You'd be nervous because he was there, and he'd point you right in the face, and he'd say, "Where's your glove?" And if you didn't know where your glove was, you're a bench player, but you had to know where your glove was. And he said you wouldn't go to war without your gun. Know where your gun is.
Base hit for Hayward.
Again, every Cardinal minor league player in the last 40 years knows that line.
DraftKings.com looking at ultimate zone rating.
Well, we suggested that they get right on it, and they did right away, and they've come back with Adeiny Hechavarria with a better zone rating than Andrelton Simmons, and he's the guy that everybody says has got the best range in the game. But ultimate zone has to do with being able to make plays in a grid. There's an area that's kind of outlined that's kind of in zone rating and out of zone ratings, and Hechavarria, essentially what that tells you is the guy's ability to have range and make the play when he gets there. Combination of both, and he does that.
2 outs, runner at first. Here's Yadier Molina. Ozzie Smith told me an amazing story the other night. He said he actually told his outfielders which direction to go if his back was to the infield. So on the Curt Ford play,
yes,
it wasn't like that was a fluke. He had already spoken to every outfielder. If my back is to the infield, I'm going to my right, you go to your right, and I'm getting after it.
Curt Flood honored today Curt Ford at the ballpark here last night.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, he was. And I've heard them both talk about that.
That's well hit. Left field. At the wall, and it's caught. Molina gave it a ride, and he's 0 for 2. 3-1 St. Louis. Hall of Fame today. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and very much a special day in Cardinals history.
And a great job by you handling this today. Terrific. But as I'm sitting here next to you, I'm reminded of George Kissel saying that you never see a duck and a goose. And I'm getting a little worried right now, as close as we are at this moment.
Well, the speeches were just tremendous today, emotional, the family members that were here. So just a great day of Cardinals baseball and the understanding of the history. And a lot of talk about Curt Flood and what he meant not only as a player, but certainly what he meant to the Players Association, which you were a huge part of in terms of representing your team.
Yeah, you know, John Jay does that for the Cardinals now. Carlos Villanueva is one of the leaders overall in all of baseball in the Players Union currently, and I was involved in it certainly at the time, and Curt Flood was the guy that really got things rolling.
Gillespie grounds out to short. Curt Flood, overlooked in many ways, 7 consecutive Gold Gloves. Lou Brock compared him to Willie Mays today with his defense.
Some big names on that list: Molina, Smith, Gibson, and Flood. And for those that don't know the story of Curt Flood, he was traded and didn't want to go. Didn't think that was right for somebody with that string of fortune he was having, and as much as he loved playing here and being on a team, he didn't think he should be kind of just unilaterally sent somewhere else. Didn't think that was right, and was willing to fight that, and he did.
Ted Simmons, and I loved it today because I don't think we hear it enough, but in his speech he did talk about each of the Hall of Famers, the other Hall of Famers being inducted, and when he got to Curt Flood, he looked over at his widow and his daughter and the family in the crowd and said, "Thank you for what your husband did, because by what he did in challenging the clause, it provided for my family from that day forward, and I'll never forget him for doing that." Hayward near the sidewall and out of room.
Teddy too was involved in the Players Union extensively, and he was really the only player at the big league level who could understand Don Fear when he talked. They actually had the same kind of vocabulary. How close is this? That close.
So 2 outs, no balls, 1 strike on Adeiny Echeverria. And a fly ball lifted into right. There's Jason Hayward. Ted Simmons will join us when we come back. The newest member of the Cardinals Hall of Fame. 3-1 St. Louis.
Overtime, maybe things work themselves out.
Yep. Cardinal fans hear enough from Ted Simmons. We have him in the booth for a half inning, 13 seasons with St. Louis. The comparison there with Yadier Molina. And Ted, one of the great switch hitters ever in the National League, and also one of the great catchers of his era. Congratulations on the Cardinals Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, Dan. Been a wonderful day and great night. Cardinals leading. Everything's worked out pretty good.
Tell us about what the experience was like for you this afternoon.
Well, it's like when I played. You get up in the morning and, you know, the anxiety starts to build. And before long, afternoon's there and getting butterflies. And then finally game time you play and it all comes out. And then after the game's over, you come down a bit. But
it's exactly right now?
Yeah, I am. Good. I really am. But boy, I sure was building up for it. And it's about like when I used to play.
Right. Base hit for Piscotty, another double. You were the 10th pick in 1967. You made your debut in 1968. You were 19 years old. Tell me what Bob Gibson taught you about the game as you're trying to catch him in 1968.
What he taught me was real simple, that I was not major league ready.
Is that right?
Absolutely. I realized that, my God, I've never seen a pitcher with this kind of skills, and I thought I was going to wear a path out back from home plate to the screen trying to catch this stuff. And I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, when I came at 20 years old, you know, I thought I was ready to go. And you realize offensively and defensively at the major league level is just different.
Absolutely.
And it takes a while to get acclimated, and finally over time I was able to, but that's what it was like catching Bob Gibson. Same thing with Carlton. I just said, I don't belong here.
But we know you did. Joe Torre really helped you. I talked to Joe about this, and he said you guys used to talk a lot about a two-strike approach.
Yes.
Is that right?
Oh, no doubt. At that time, everybody had a two-strike approach, and if they didn't, they weren't going to stay very long, because if back then with the pitching, when you got this two strikes, you had to just take a defensive perspective, shorten up, spread out, and try at two strikes to survive.
Sure.
Because the pitching at the big league level was, you know, first rate, and you could do a few things on your own at 0-0, or 1 ball, no strikes, 2 balls and no strikes, 3-1. But when you got to 2 strikes, it didn't matter. If you didn't take a 2-strike approach, you were going to strike out. And that's what's different about the hitters today. They tend to swing with no strikes the same way they do with 2 strikes.
Sure.
And so they never cut it down and never apply a 2-strike approach. And everybody strikes out an awful lot today.
Oh, yeah.
A whole lot.
Part of the game now.
I know it. And so, I mean, if you struck out 100 times in a season when I was playing a few years back, I mean, you know, people dog you about it.
Well, you had more walks than strikeouts from both sides of the plate. That's an amazing statistic when you think about talking about today's game and then looking back at what you were able to do. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, your rookie year, you hit 243. I've heard from others you considered quitting the game of baseball after that year. Is that true?
Yeah, because I was so young and so on Mars as opposed to planet Earth when I came to the major leagues that, you know, I'd never hit 240 anything anywhere.
You were all
whole
world
life.
everywhere you're at.
Everywhere I was.
Yeah.
I was 10th in the nation. You know, first by the Cardinals, and the 10th guy in the whole nation was me. So, you know, I had done everything. And when I started out, when I got to Modesto, man, I started to roll.
Yeah.
And I got to Tulsa, man, at AAA, I was still rolling. And so when I got up here, I mean, somebody put on the brakes.
What convinced you then to come back?
Well, other people.
A real job?
No, other people. There were very sophisticated people around here, like Red. A little later, Kenny, Boyer was
influential.
He sure was. And he taught me how to situational hit. I was learning by playing. But as I say, when I first came, I was over my head.
How about Matty Alou? He doesn't get talked about a lot in Cardinals history. Did he help you?
He changed my whole hitting philosophy.
Everything, huh?
Absolutely. My whole approach. And what I saw him do is he tomahawked everything he swung at. And when I say tomahawked, the top hand on the bat manipulated the bat head so that it was everything he swung at the barrel of the bat was above the ball, and it didn't matter if the ball was over his head or on the ground nearly. He top-handed everything he hit. And so when you, for people who know what I'm talking about, loop or create that uppercut swing, you can't get the ball out of the air, and it takes a long time to get the barrel of the bat out where you don't get jammed.
Sure.
And so Matty, I saw him take a bat, prop him, and I saw him again, and I said, Matty, it looks like you swing that way on every pitch, no matter where it is. He said, yeah.
Is that right?
And essentially what he was saying is, my goal and objective is hit the ball from the line drive to the ground. That's what tomahawking the ball does. It keeps it on the line and on the ground. When you uppercut, it keeps it in the air. And if you're hitting the ball to center field or right center field or left center field consistently, unless you pull the ball, you're going to be out.
Yep.
So I said, you know, I've done this way and hit this way with this nice little Ted Williams smooth slightly up. And I was getting jammed to the point where I said, I don't like this anymore.
Sure.
And I said to him, do you think that would work for me? He said, all you can do is try. And when I did, I never got away from it.
It's amazing. I don't think many people know that.
They don't. But it was Matty Alou who I sorted out. I said, he's doing something different. And a lifetime of 335 or some crazy thing.
Sure.
He was doing stuff pretty right.
The newest addition to the Cardinals Hall of Fame, Ted Simmons, is with us. 2-2 the count on Mark Reynolds as he pulls it foul. You had 7 consecutive seasons, and this is a great example of your durability, but you had 7 consecutive seasons of 150 or more games in the heat and the turf of St. Louis and Busch Stadium too. How were you able to do that?
Well, it took one other guy to do that. Helped me do that, and that was Red Cheney's.
Is that right?
He just kept putting me out there. I'd come to the ballpark and I'd go and check the lineup, and I was still in there. So if it hadn't been for Red, it wouldn't have happened.
Sure.
But because of Red, it did. And so, you know, if I've lost, you know, every brain cell I've got, it's because of Red sending me out there. I may not have them all gone, but I'm down to single digit.
No.
It was Red. He just kept putting me out there.
Ted Simmons, 285 career average, 18 points higher than Johnny Bench. At the time of your retirement, you held the record for home runs by a switch hitter in the National League. The durability we talked about. I'm going to put you on the spot again. Why aren't you in the National Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, you know, that's such a difficult thing to talk about. I mean, it's the kind of thing that other people should talk about. And I never felt very comfortable at all talking about who I was or who I used to be and then matching it up. I mean, when you look at a guy like Bench, we were different in a number of ways. And one of the most obvious things is that he was on championship quality teams. And he was hitting 35 and 40 home runs on that big red machine that everybody in the world knew. And he was such a defender and had such a strong arm that he was frankly tough to match up to. Now, over time, people have looked back and said, well, you know, Teddy has as many or more RBIs, not as many homers. He had a higher average, and Bench struck out more. I look at it like this. Everybody gets what they deserve. They don't always get it at the same time. And so I don't look at Bench or Carter and say, wow, man, what's happened to me? Where am I? I've never looked at life that way. And the glass is always half full for me. So they earned everything they got. And I've earned everything I got. It's an example of today. I suppose I earned that. But today I got it. Who knows what will happen in the future?
You deserve it.
Well, I appreciate saying that.
The Cardinal fans, this atmosphere, what has that meant to Ted Simmons over the years?
Well, you know, Cardinal Nation is a huge, huge thing. And I said this afternoon that I really appreciate the fans who are at least my age or near it, because it took their energy and effort to go to the internet
And vote.
Yeah, vote, surf the net, and people my age, they don't do that right away or easily. But the young ones, because of the sabermetrics people and the math, so to speak, they've looked back and they've seen that maybe something is going on here. And so they voted too, but most of those never saw me play.
Sure.
So the ones who did, it was most difficult for them to vote.
Sure.
And the ones who didn't see me play, well, they figured it out and said, well, maybe he's worthy.
You're scouting now?
I've been a Major League scout, and assistant to the general manager, in this case in Seattle Mariners with Jack Zarinsik. I've been over there for 5 years. I've just been in baseball my whole life, and that's where I happen to be now.
Well, I know you want to get back to your family, and we want to let you go because I know you've got people from all, as you said today, all over the world.
I do.
Here at the ballpark.
My son's come in from Sydney, Australia, and the other ones, from San Francisco. My immediate family from Detroit. Their members are from Texas. And it's everywhere. Tallahassee.
That's
and
great.
yesterday afternoon, man, I had kids in diapers and grandchildren running into each other. It was not only a celebration for this induction, but it was a family reunion, and it's
awesome.
been wonderful.
So great to have you back in town and
All right,
visiting
man.
with us. I know you're here all the time, but we don't see you enough.
I appreciate it, man.
Come by.
It was a great day for me.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dan.
Ted Simmons, newest member of the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Wonderful to hear his voice. Congratulations to Teddy. Cardinals lead it 3-1. We thank him for coming over, breaking away from that family time. Cardinals catchers, leader all time in games played, hits, home runs, doubles, and RBIs, 6 All-Star appearances, 3 MVP top 10 finishes. You see the WAR and second most hits all time among catchers. How is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think you made a great case for it, and I think of Ted saying one of my favorite things that he said there, and I've known Teddy a long time, where he said that not only is this a great honor today to be with the kind of the Cardinal family, but it's been a family reunion for him as well to have everybody here. But really, it's two different families. It's the Cardinal family too, and he is certainly part of that. And when people talk about Cardinal teams and great players of the past, the name Ted Simmons always comes up.
Here is Brad Hand. I think what this has done, though, is thrust him back into the spotlight for our younger fans and generation of fans to understand how great he was. And as he pointed out, we've talked a lot about it, those teams in the 70s weren't very good. There are some teams that almost made it, but they didn't win. And when you don't win, you don't get the national attention.
In the 70s, Dan, 40 to 50 games were televised every year. Think about that.
Yeah.
So the Cardinals, I know, were actually having some difficulty finding a lot of footage of Ted playing.
Nice play out in left. Stephen Piscotty, robbing hand, playing way in.
Piscotty still learning how to play left field. It's a nice play right there on the dive. Been playing more right field in the Cardinals system. We know he's been playing some first base in the minor leagues. Played the other day at first base. Could be in his future as well. The more you see yourself as being capable of playing multiple positions, makes you more valuable.
Ground ball, broken bat, taken there by Reynolds. He'll step on the bag. MLB.tv, real-time highlights, pitch tracking, and more. Visit MLB.tv for details. It's back.
I've advised my client to stay away from those.
Smart. Just to further the story about Ted Simmons and making a case for him, the time of his retirement, hit more doubles than any other catcher in baseball's Hall of Fame. I mean, think about that. More walks than strikeouts from both sides of the plate. Durability. Also at the time of his retirement, held the record for home runs by a switch hitter in the National League with 182. Career 285 average as a catcher in the heat, the sweltering heat of St. Louis. Two balls and one strike. Ichiro is 2 for 2. The fly ball. Piscotty, who's playing in foul territory, puts it away. The first 1, 2, 3 for Lackey. MW Data Strong fan, and we'll show one of those picks coming up later tonight. Jim Hayes, Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you. As Randall Grichuk digs in, Grichuk, Peralta, and Hayward. Ted Simmons, by the way, 5 times as a Cardinal, 20 or more home runs. 6 times hit above 300. They keep on giving you the numbers. You're saying, well, definitely in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Why not Cooperstown? I mentioned that in the ceremony today, and the place erupted. There were a lot of Ted Simmons fans over there today. Here's an 0-2 pitch, including John Hamm, the actor. John Hamm came in, and John is best friends with Ted's son and has forged obviously a tremendous relationship over the years with Ted Simmons, and he said he wouldn't miss it for the world.
Think John Hamm has any pull over there in Cooperstown?
Let's put him up to it. Check swing, did not go.
I do like what Teddy said, though, and Teddy's a thinker, very philosophical and very bright,
yeah.
as you can tell. And for him to say I think very appropriately that, you know, talking about his own candidacy, this does not seem to be the right thing to do, and he feels like that's for other people to talk about, but that's what we're here for.
A swing and a miss by Grichuk. Strikeout number 4 for Hand. Want a great deal on Cardinals tickets? Fill up at Phillips 66 with 8 gallons or more now until September 24th. Receive up to 50% off on a pair of tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more information, visit cardinals.com/Phillips66. Notice how the other players gravitate towards the cups as well. You know, it gets. Guys are trying to sneak in there and get over there. There's Waka, who's in the middle of it always. John Jay. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Peralta. Ground ball. Hit sharply to third. Martin Prado.
I actually like all of the kind of the looseness in the dugout, but I've been on some teams where right about in the middle of some of that is when the manager would look over and say, why don't you go down to the bullpen? We're playing baseball here. Or maybe they'd send the pitching coach over to stand in the middle of it to make sure there was some productive conversation going on. That could be going on right now.
You know, more times than not, you look in there. I remember seeing last night Michael Walker just flipping a baseball in his hand. Trying out grips, getting the feel of the ball. See that all the time.
The old Cardinal pitching coach Hub Kittle, who was a big league coach for a while, but also coached in the minor leagues for years. One of his favorite things to say was, if you're a pitcher, you ought to always have a baseball in your hand. Always. He went on to say, even when you're asleep, which I thought was a little far.
A little bit. To the backstop. Well, when you're playing like the Cardinals have this year, you can have a little fun. 74-41, only 17 losses at home. Being down on the field before the game, you get the sense that things are loose. And why not? The 2-1 pitch to Hayward.
This Cardinal team has certainly had adversity to deal with this year in the form of injuries. That's been a part of it. But they have not had adversity to deal with in terms of a prolonged losing stretch. And it'd be interesting. I can't remember a team ever not having one. Cardinals have only had one 4-game losing streak. Maybe there's been times where they've lost 5 out of 7. I think that's the worst. But you just wonder whether that would be good for the team to figure out how to get out of it.
2 strikeouts in the inning as we head to the 6th. over the years since 1993. The BJC Healthcare difference maker. What the Cardinals have done against the Marlins. 102-68. Played very well against San Diego. We'll see them on the next road trip. 3-1 in favor of St. Louis. Continues to grow inside that Cardinals dugout. The stack of cups for Carlos Martinez. Here's Martin Prado. Prado is 2 for 2. How about Lackey? He's given up 6 hits, was roughed up early on. He's had now 8 in a row set down, and really is settled in. Here's a 1-2.
You're going to describe John Lackey, I think overall, what he does. He's a pitcher, and of course he's a pitcher. That's his job. But what he really does is pitch. There's no throwing in him. There's no overthrowing. There's always a method. He understands who he is. He understands how to stay out of the middle of the strike zone for the most part. Knows the importance of getting ahead. He knows how to finish guys off. He knows how to finish innings. That's what pitchers do. And I contrast to that somebody who has the position of pitcher but is really a thrower.
The 2-2. It's a good example right there. Dropping down.
He's dropped a quick pitched earlier. He quick pitched on Ozuna. I've seen him do it one time in this game, Dan, and he did it with 2 runners aboard and Ozuna at the plate with 2 strikes. That's not an accident. Show him something different and save it for the right time.
3-2, a called third strike. And Prado has been frustrated with his crew here tonight. Remember, he was the one that was called out of the baseline back in the first inning, going to second. Historic levels, the rotation, and what they've been able to do. Lackey, Martinez, Waka, Lynn, and Garcia. You see the quality starts. You start breaking down ERA and the innings piling up. It's just been an unbelievable year pitching for the Cardinals. It's line foul.
The rotation has been so good, including that man who's having fun with the Cubs, Carlos Martinez. Not even sure who the number 1 through 5 starters are.
No.
And it almost doesn't make a difference right now. There'll be a time where it does, but right now you just keep rolling along, and one after another you feel confident no matter whose day it is to have fun.
1 ball, 1 strike. That's hammered opposite way. Deep left center field. This ball is gone. Bohr with home run number 11. After Lackey had set down 9 straight, that cuts the lead to 3-2. The fan throws the baseball back onto the field.
Bohr is a good fastball hitter, and that's what he gets. Middle away, and shows good power the other way.
Ground ball left side. Tough play here for Peralta. Nicely done. Ozuna can really run. Gets down the line, and Peralta got him by a step.
Well, we normally don't talk much about Johnny Peralta in terms of range. He's more of a guy that's steady with balls hit in his area, but that's a nice play going to his right. That was not a simple play. He had to get it on the short hop on the backhand and then set and throw and make a good strong throw. That's a nice play by John.
Brings in Gillespie, who's 1 for 2. Big gap in left center. Rick, while we have a moment, I want to mention Tony Simakaitis and also Craig Wilson. They helped put together the event across the street. Craig's videos are always just sensational. Recapping last year, finding the footage, as you talked about, of Ted Simmons.
Tough to do.
It is very, very tough. A lot of time put into that, and believe me, all of us want to make that as special of an event as we can, and understanding the significance of it to the individuals and the families, and they put a lot of time into it.
A lot of people did. Brian Finch, of course, with his staff at the Hall of Fame Museum, involved in it as well. And again, Dan, you are to be commended for leading the charge over there. Special day here at Busch Stadium.
$25,000 fans ages 16 and older receive an adult cap that proudly displays the American flag inside the STL logo. For tickets and more information, visit cardinals.com/promotions. A 3-2 lead for St. Louis. Home half of the 6 rolls in from Busch Stadium. It'll be Molina, Piscotty, and Wong. Molina sent one to the wall his first time up. He's also grounded out. Happy birthday to Brian McCann, who works in our truck day in and day out. Produces, edits, and do a little bit of everything. Directs, jack of all trades, very talented, and happy birthday to Brian McCann.
Does a great job. Think he's working hard right now, or is he celebrating? What do you think he's doing in the truck?
Biting my tongue at this point.
That was kind of a no-win question, wasn't it? So you do that to me, Dan. How's that feel?
How about the guy in the front row? He had the baby in one arm. Yeah, right there. The baby there and going for the catch. Ooh.
It's a man with his priorities.
Oh, absolutely. There's a base hit to the left.
Well, the kid will be fine. I got a $10 baseball I can get.
I like the priorities line.
Oh, boy. They're having fun.
That's right. Definitely the priorities straight.
Oh, boy.
Here's Piscotty, who's had a big night. 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles.
Big night for Piscotty. Big night for our Hall of Fame inductees. And this is a very good ball game, Dan. 3-2 in the 6th inning. Cardinals could use a little insurance here.
Three-hit night for Piscotty. Right-hander is getting loose in the pen for Miami. Love the drink run with any size, any flavor McCafe shake for just $1.99 at McDonald's. There's a guy with his priorities straight too. Take care of the business at hand, which is to keep the stack in order. That is funny. I'm sorry, but you know, you're supposed to be the color analyst of Cardinals baseball, talk about how great it is to be here. Boy, you got a chance to get a souvenir. The guy's holding a 9-month-old baby, and you're talking about priorities going after the foul ball.
It was all in fun. There was no judgment.
Second career 3-hit game for Piscotty. Went 3 for 4 in the first game of this homestand against Pittsburgh, and a chance now for Colton Wong. Reynolds on deck. Infielders are in, anticipating a bunt.
You know, I think Piscotty has been, from the right side, something that the Cardinals have missed in their offense without John Jay. I think John Jay is a guy that is just a hitter. I mean, when you think about John Jay, you think about base hits everywhere.
It's a good way to put it.
A 300 career hitter. You don't think about necessarily a home run guy, but you think about a guy that gets hits. He can just flat out hit. And if you're going to get sustained rallies, you need to get the second hit in the inning, not just the first or the game or the RBI. You got to get the one to move things along. And John Jay has just been really good at that his entire career. He's been a solid guy no matter where you put him in the lineup, and it's just kind of tough to see him not getting a chance to play.
Hopefully we'll see him at some point in September. Holiday telling us the other day that he believes first or second week of September he'd be back. Matt Adams, and a wild card out there, Adam Wainwright.
Wouldn't that be something?
Here's an 0-2 pitch to Colton Wong. And Wong pops it up. Shallow right. Ichiro coming on. Falls off the second baseman to make the play. We're back at it again tomorrow. Our Budweiser What's on Tap. Phelps and Martinez. Budweiser What's on Tap will come your way at 12:30 tomorrow. Here's Reynolds. Double to right center, scored back in the second inning on an RBI by John Lackey, and has also struck out. One out and two on.
Lackey in the on-deck circle to hit for himself. Lackey doing what Jaime Garcia did here last night, get through a lot of innings with a few number of pitches.
Lackey's done a very nice job at the plate tonight. Couple of hits, his third multi-hit game.
And only 74 pitches through 6 innings. So should be strong. There is action in the Cardinal bullpen, though, just in case Mike Matheny decides to pinch hit for Lackey. It may depend upon the situation.
Villanueva getting loose.
It also could be a smokescreen, too. Get somebody loose just to make them think that you will pinch hit for the pitcher. I used to have that job a lot. Get up, but we don't really need you. Just stand there.
You know what? It's still the major leagues. It's still a uniform.
Still, it's, yep.
Count me in.
Good job to have.
Turn him loose on 3-0. They do. And a fly ball. Right center. Track. Wall. Gone. Just enough over the wall. Turn him loose. They did. 3-run bomb. Mark Reynolds.
Mike Matheny said earlier this week he needs to have one of his first basemen get hot. And you wonder if that call is being answered by Mark Reynolds the last couple of days. If he heard that, felt it, certainly responding to it. And how about that for production out of your number 8 hitter back-to-back nights?
I think the fact that you have Piscotty that can play there. Moss has gotten some at-bats. As Lackey hits it to second base, it's allowed Reynolds to be used in positions to give him more success with rest. I think, you know, he's even talked about it with us. When he was thrust to be an everyday player, it was hard on his body, hard on everything. You know, that's not what he was signed up to do. Now you're going to do whatever you're asked to do. However, now that he's getting a little rest, you're just seeing better at bats from him too.
And you were right on it. Let him swing 3-0, and this is why. Because he's got the power to do that. Well, you think about the question people ask all the time: how has the game of baseball changed? Well, 30 years ago, most 8th place hitters in a lineup couldn't hit a ball half that far. Most of them.
Reynolds again in double digits in home runs with 10. 1 ball, no strikes on Matt Carpenter. Cardinals have opened up a 6-2 lead. Grichuk is homered tonight. Reynolds is homered.
Totally changes the feel of this game, doesn't it, Dan?
One swing. The threat of power.
The home run in the top of the 6th, cutting the lead to 1. And then the Cardinals answer here in the bottom of the 6th.
Uh-oh, what happened? Martinez seems to be demoralized when that goes down. Does he not?
Could just be the St. Louis weather. Could be a little breeze coming through there.
And a fly ball lifted into left field. Watch and enjoy as we send you to a break. Reynolds with the home run. Is presented by Prairie Farms tomorrow. Carlos Martinez is just, he doesn't know whether or not to go visit with his teammates. Can I trust Matt Adams to protect the stack of cups? Mark Reynolds, a 3-run homer. Lackey pitching into the 7th. Looks like he's getting ready to start a whole new batch of them, too. Nasty pitch, and it's 0-2. Real Muto, Echeverria, and the pitcher spot coming up for Miami.
I just had an interesting question in my mind. It's interesting to me anyway, and maybe it will be to you. Tony La Russa managing Carlos Martinez, and that particular scene of him doing the cups. Think he would have liked that?
Ask me at 10:30.
And I'll tell you.
That is a good question.
I'll have to ask Whitey next time I see him.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he would have gotten the scowl from Whitey. He would have got the, and then he scratched his head, looked the other way, and you'd have thought, well, maybe I should do something different.
The Mazda game summary. 6-2. The Cardinals have the lead. Hand the pitcher for Miami. 6 innings thus far tonight. Bohr 1 for 3 with a homer. Lackey 6 1/3. And Mark Reynolds 2 for 3 with a 3-run homer. Echeverria, ground ball. Peralta can't get there, and a base hit into center field. Fox Sports Midwest proud to support the National Fallen Firefighter Stair Climb to honor and remember the Fire Department of New York and those firefighters that gave their lives on September 11th. That climb is held Sunday, September 13th. For more information, to participate, ClaytonStairclimb.com. Derek Dietrich will come off the bench, pinch hit. Started last night in game 1 of this series. High fly ball, right field. Hayward. Out number 2.
Still no Christian Yelich, and we thought Yelich might be available by today or tomorrow, possibly, but I think an indication that there have been some cases where they could use him as a pinch hitter, have chosen not to. So the guess would be that Christian Yelich, who's a terrific outfielder for Miami, young player, Gold Glover a year ago, is not available.
D. Gordon is hitless tonight. Not often has he gone hitless in a game. Arcia in the driver's seat. He's had a tremendous year. All-star with the Dodgers last year. All-star this year with Miami. 140 hits, most in the National League this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets have come back and tied it up with Pittsburgh 3-3. That's in the top of the 8th. A tight breaking ball taken low.
Lackey can't believe that one wasn't a strike. Haven't had very many complaints. A couple of them early on. Prado didn't like an outside pitch. Lackey didn't like that one, but for the most part, the zone seems to have been good through the first 6.
2-1 pitch. And it's a walk.
First walk for Lackey. Brings in Ichiro. Dan, we've talked about this quite a bit. Statistical relevance, 1 batter versus 1 pitcher. We say, what, 25, 30 times? Makes it kind of a good enough sample size. Well, how about this sample size? Ichiro is 36 for 118 in his career against Lackey, a .305 average. He is the batter that Lackey has faced the most in his career.
And a strike. Strike 2. Hit the other way. Piscotty was playing in and near the line, makes the catch. Time to stretch on this Saturday night. Beautiful evening for baseball. 6-2 St. Louis. presented by AT&T, and that's coming up here at the ballpark on September 5th. The Cardinals will be taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Visit cardinals.com/promotions to pick up that jersey. 6-2, bottom of the 7th rolls in here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It's the Gateway Honda home run inning. The Cardinals player hits a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Chevy called to the bullpen is Kyle Barraclough. 4th appearance as a Marlin, and not long ago pitching in Double-A for the St. Louis Cardinals. Originally drafted by St. Louis in 2012. 7th round pick, was traded for Cishek, and immediately, almost immediately, found himself in the big leagues with Miami. Good minor league numbers for the Cardinals, and Marlins thought they had somebody who's on the cusp of being a good big league reliever, and 96 miles an hour probably impressed them somewhere along the road.
1 ball, 1 strike. Do you remember hearing much about him?
I do not.
Buckle the knees of Randall Grichuk. There's Cishek, who came over from Miami. Just to give you an idea where Randall Grichuk is with Chris Bryant, Jock Peterson. 1 home run back of Chris Bryant, 1 RBI back of Jock Peterson. Bryant hitting .255, Peterson .220, Grichuk is at .286. The 2-2.
Talked a lot about the change of the batting stance of Grichuk from last year. He worked on it in the off seasons, flattened his bat a bit at the beginning. Of course, most hitters get to the same spot anyway by the time it's contact time. And he tries to be short and to the ball.
And it's a leadoff walk. As promised earlier in our telecast, we have selected the Data Strong Fan photo of the night. Hashtag MWData Strong Fan, brought to you by T-Mobile. I'll tell you what, Holiday looks thrilled in that shot. Ooh, nearly to the backstop. Get traded from the Cardinals, and you've been traded before, Rick, in your career, and you're facing then your former team. A little something extra to it.
Oh, there's something. Of course, the Cardinals, it wasn't that they were holding him down. He hasn't been a minor leaguer for very long. It's just that the Marlins have jump-started him, so I don't think he would have anything bad to say about St. Louis. Hit and run, swings through it. Got him. They like their young catcher, Rio Muto. That throw right on the money and a good tag. Gordon stuck the glove in his face into that tag. You have to do that. You can't do the swipe tag like Aramis Ramirez tried to do on Yachty the other day. You might miss him. I think right now Barraclough is just happy to be in the big leagues in whatever uniform.
Talk to the Cardinals about that. It's a point of emphasis where they did say apply the tag. And I know fans at home are saying, well, of course they're going to apply the tag. But if a throw would beat a runner to the bag, a lot of times you'd have the glove down, and right before the foot or the hand would get there, you'd lift it up so it didn't get knocked out of the glove, the ball. You can't really do that anymore.
Or you wouldn't get spiked.
That's another thing.
Or pinned to the base, or other things that could happen. He wouldn't slide into your wrist or into one of your fingers. So part of it was a little bit of self-preservation. Guys would do the swipe tag for that reason. think about years ago, if the ball beat you to second, you were out. The tag was inconsequential because there was no replay to dispute it. And everybody knew that. Everybody accepted it. But it's a different world now. The technology that we have shows whether you tagged him or not, so you better stick your face in there.
Well hit into center. Ozuna. 2 outs.
Well struck by Peralta. Pitch up in the zone. Cardinals have swung the bat well today. 11 hits, 6 runs. Big blow, the Reynolds home run in the 6th.
Crowd tonight 44,706. 44,706. 30th sellout of the year. Hayward, a base hit into right field back in the 3rd, and he struck out twice. The Cardinals trying to do something tonight that has not been done since the 2005, or rather the 2004 season, and that's reached 34 games above 500. But here's the thing, you're 34 games potentially above 500 and still would only be potentially 6 in front of Pittsburgh, potentially only 7.5 in front of Chicago. And this division has played great baseball this year.
Well, I think it's really what competition is all about. When you've got real competition, you put your best foot forward, you make your opponent better. And Pirates and the Cubs and the Cardinals are locked in a competition right now, and it's making them all better. You can't take a day off when you're trying to stay ahead of the Pirates, and as you mentioned, the Cubs winning 8 straight coming into today. They've just been really the best team in the National League over the last week.
And tonight they're winning again 3-2 as Hayward rounds out. Bear Claw a scoreless bottom of the 7th. 6-2 St. Louis. Our studio and a Bomberito Sports Update. Salvador Perez, one of the best catchers in the game, along with Yadier Molina. He idolizes Molina. 6-2 here in the top of the 8th. Thank you, Pat. Looking forward to you and Andy on the postgame show. Here's Martin Prado. pitch count for John Lackey as we play here in the top of the 8th is at 90. If it's efficient, would we see him go back out for the 9th?
We don't see a starting pitcher very often go out for the 9th inning. We saw it last night with Jaime Garcia.
Matter of fact, Rick, that was the first time a Cardinals starter had recorded an out in the 9th. And he's still throwing very, very well here tonight.
His pitch count will probably be around, if he has a good inning, around 100 by the end, which would probably be enough in my mind. Let him pitch 8 and move on. But 22 out of 29 first pitch strikes for Lackey. That's what he's been doing all night.
And the thing is, Rick, it's not overpowering stuff, but
no.
it must be some type of late movement, deception along the way. It's been that way all season long. This pitch has popped up. Reynolds. So to follow up our point, what we were talking about, as good as that team ERA has been, a lack of complete games. Look at 1968, the year of the pitcher, 63 complete games. In 43 there was 94, and this year there's 1.
And that's in a 152 game schedule, 156 I guess it was. And just a different game. The way you use your bullpen, it's just different.
The one complete game was a rain shortened game, and Lackey went 5 innings and Cardinals won.
It does show you how historic the ERA is, though, when you look at those top ERAs in Cardinal history, and this season right up amongst the best ever. I think there are 2 pitch counts that are extremely important for a pitcher. It's like a tennis player getting advantage when you're trying to win a game. You get the advantage, you're up 1. So the 0-0 pitch, first pitch to a batter, and a 1-1 pitch. If you get advantage on both of those pitches, you're going to succeed more often than not. And the batting averages across baseball prove that out.
Chance tonight at another series win for the Cardinals. The 2-2. In on his hands, and he struck him out. 6 strikeouts for John Lackey. Weekdays, you don't want to miss it. America's Pregame, as Mike and Molly bring you live reports from around the country for the latest from NFL training camps and get you ready for a full night of Major League Baseball action. America's Pregame every weekday at 4. Fox Sports 1 streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Strike 1 on Marcell Ozuna. That guy right behind home plate. Kid in one hand. Almost a souvenir in another. And right now his phone is just blowing up with text messages. I'm not sure who's watching the kid. Again, priorities. Got to answer those texts.
Already a Molina fan.
Here's a 1-2. Lackey looking for strikeout number 7.
Tried to overthrow that pitch. You don't see that very often from John Lackey. He's always within himself, always composed, always together. taking away the gaps, giving both the left field line and the right field line to Ozuna.
Pitch number 105 could be the final pitch of the night for John Lackey. The fly ball lifted into right. Hayward was spun around. He's under it and has it. Lackey again. Another sensational night here at Busch Stadium. Budweiser, make a plan to make it home. And by 4, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Jennifer Dryden turns 10 tonight. Happy birthday to Jennifer. Watching tonight on Fox Sports Midwest. Beautiful night for baseball. The Cardinals Hall of Fame induction ceremony earlier today. And the Cardinals trying to make it 2 straight against Miami. Kendry Flores, 5th appearance. And he'll get the bottom of the 8th here for Miami. Still no activity in the Cardinals pen. That could change shortly.
Flores, our Chevy called to the bullpen, a minor league starter, giving a chance here to pitch in the big leagues. From the Dominican Republic, first year in the big leagues. Think about the job that Kyle Bearclaw did in the 7th inning, and that makes me think of the job that the Cardinals scouts and minor league system did to develop him, to make him tradable for the Cardinals to be able to get Cishek for the run.
Molina sticks the bat out into left, and it's a base hit. 2-hit night for Yadier Molina. Hyundai pitch arsenal for Kendry Flores. Right-hander now in for Miami.
We saw the changeup, first pitch he threw. He also has fastball, cutter, slider, curve, sinker. Pretty much all the pitches.
Being away, I believe, is stretching out there on top of the mound in the bullpen.
He's already been up, so it may not take him long to kind of get loose again. I think he'd be a natural choice to pitch tonight.
Scotty trying to make it a 4-hit night. You know, usually when you see a young player come up, a game or two, or maybe a play in the outfield, a horrific at bat, which they look completely overmatched.
You see Green every once in a while.
Exactly. And We just have not seen that very often, if at all, from Stephen Piscotty. He just looks like he belongs.
Makes adjustments well. And you're talking about whether that be, you know, on the offensive side, but also on the bases, defensively. He's really done nothing to make you say, ah, so that's how minor leaguers play. He just kind of learned it. I mean, you'd never had that thought from day one.
It was a minor league at bat right there, Rick.
Knew that was coming.
Piscotty 3 for 4 on the night. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
You can see that Flores likes his changeup.
And the 1-0. You can see why. It's a good changeup. Kind of long with his delivery.
Interesting that on our Hyundai pitch arsenal, he's only throwing it 6 to 8% of the time, and we've seen it about 50% of the time here tonight.
Base hit, Colton Wong. Molina moving up to second base.
Love this swing. Keeps his weight back, his head down, finishes the swing.
Orioles second straight night. A walk-off homer to win it. This time Chris Davis. Baltimore hanging around. They started tonight 5 games back of New York, with Toronto a half game back. Kansas City running away with the Central up by 12. Houston 2.5 game lead over LA. 5 in front of Texas. The 0-1.
Austin looks like they missed a couple of extra points in their game against Seattle. Maybe they went for 2 on one of their touchdowns. 22-10.
And that's after winning 15-1 yesterday. Reynolds to short, a flip to Gordon, and the double play. By the way, Boston did that against Felix Hernandez. He gave up 10 earned. We head with a night 6-2. souvenir with a baseball. He does have the souvenir Fredbird, so not going home empty-handed.
Been a good night.
John Lackey back out here in this 9th inning.
Wait a minute, he's stepping on Fredbird.
The last 9-inning complete game for Lackey was in 2013 against Baltimore. He has 18 career complete games. Garcia pitched into the 9th last night, picked up an out, then was lifted after he hit a man and a walk. First pitch, a strike. Pitch number 107. Cole Gillespie at the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. He has a single and a pair of groundouts. The way this game started for Lackey, a lot of hits early on, and then he settled in. Wasn't so sure we'd see him pitching in the 9th.
I'm surprised, very surprised, in fact.
Fly ball. Hayward. Foul territory. He's got it. A look by Enning what John Lackey has done. By the way, the last Cardinals 9-inning complete game, Adam Wainwright against Milwaukee, September 17th of 2014. So Waino the last to do it. Lackey 2 outs away. Strike 1.
Well, you can be sure that there is a leash and there's a number in Mike Matheny and Derek Lilliquist's mind. They send him back out there. They're going to give him a certain number of pitches, and then after you get to that number, he's done.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. Real Muto falls behind, 0-2.
If anybody can get 3 outs with 6 or 7 or 8 pitches, it might just be John Lackey.
Here's an 0-2. Marlins catcher over 3 tonight. 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. What do you think, Rick? 1 base runner, he's out?
Yes.
The 2-2. Base hit out to left field. We'll see if that truly is it for John Lackey. Here comes Mike Matheny. That'll be it. John Lackey, the previous high 111 against the Kansas City Royals, 8 1/3. And now Steve Cishek is in to finish it off. And John is our Budweiser player of the game.
Back-to-back nights, Cardinal starters getting outs in the 9th inning. It's been a big help to this Cardinals bullpen that's been busy all season long. Cishek, appearance number 40 against his former teammates. He'd like to make this quick. A little ground ball, perhaps.
Adeiny Echeverria. Cardinals have turned a double play tonight. Lined into right field. Hayward over, makes the catch. 2 outs. Casey McGee, the final hope for Miami. Fielder's indifference after strike 1. The 0-1. Chicago, the Cubs now leading the White Sox 5-2. Top of the 7th. Pittsburgh and New York again in extra innings, tied at 3. 2-2. Pitch. A foul ball down the right field line.
This could be a nice moment for Steve Cishek, and we got confirmation on what we've noticed about him. He can be very nasty with that slider and occasionally hang it and spin it, but certainly a nice weapon to have.
3-2 again. Popped up right side. This should do it. Reynolds wants it. Win number 75. The Cardinals are 34 games above the 500 mark. 6-2 the final. They'll look for a sweep tomorrow.
A 6-2 win, a nice celebration for the Cardinal family today with the Cardinal Hall of Famers. And to top it off, you get a 6-2 win against the Marlins. John Lackey, outstanding. Cishek finishes it off against his former teammates. The big hit, Mark Reynolds, that came in the 6th.
On to the postgame show we go. Double-digit wins again for John Lackey. All the highlights coming up with Andy and Pat. Cishek finished it off. 6-2 the final.